Let's podcast day 2, ACC Kickoff, Weston in Charlotte. What up, Joe? You sick of me yet?
No.
There's a lot of close time. Actually, you know what? This is
perfect because we're really just.
This is you and me. The difference between you and me is that you actually get that. You get that extrovertedness out of you. This is your jam right now, and I need to go into my cocoon from time to time. And it's funny. Yesterday, I kind of busted your balls yesterday for the whole full Giglio thing.
Yes.
So you, in fairness, you have to bust my balls. Actually, it's more of an appreciation. Not you busting my balls. It's more of an appreciation of you.
Yeah, because I have to explain it to people. Just no, he's paying attention.
So what happens at events like this is there's a lot of multitasking that has to take place.
And we do not have our sweet Ethernet connection that we have at the Eford Studios in downtown Raleigh right now.
Seriously, Greg, hate him.
We owe you.
I'm looking at the camera right now. We owe you so much.
What do you need us to sell?
Because
buy those damn nachos, people.
Go buy a gift card to All Empire Eats. Do whatever it is you need to do, because that Ethernet cord that we got at the Eford Studio has spoiled us.
Yes.
Look, man, the Weston's kind of, it is what it is. But editing video, getting it turned around, getting it up online, things like that, I have to multitask. I'm the technical guy here, right?
Yes.
So a couple times people have been sitting at our table, telling us stories, catching, shooting the shit, whatever. And you're engaged, eye contact, hitting them on the shoulder, all that stuff. And I'm just plugging away, whatever. Try to, gotta get on YouTube. Right. Let me get this going. Let me email the News and Observer.
Somebody's got to be in charge.
Right. Somebody's got to run. Come on. Somebody's got to land the plane. So there was I'm not going to say who it was. There was somebody who was telling us a story, and I was not looking at them. I was engaged with the computer doing work, and he's looking at you,
sure?
What is this jerk just not paying attention? And you went, no.
That's what he does.
He's like, what'd you say? Throw out a number and he'll repeat it back to you.
He's there.
So I appreciate that. You get it. You know where I go into my Joe face. It's a face I make, right?
It's not necessarily a face. It's just I can tell that you are zoned in on whatever the other thing is that you're doing.
Yeah.
And people aren't used to it.
I know.
Because they don't do radio shows with you. So I know it, though. There's a point where I lose you, and then you start doing stuff, and I'm like, well, Joe, if you can't pay attention to me, why can't how would one expect other people to pay attention?
Well, there's other things that are going on.
But that was, of course, before cameras in the radio world.
Yes.
Podcast world. So here we are in our show.
We got a lot of things going on that are ACC Kickoff related today. However,
that's some big news.
Big news. They finally did the Sebastian Aho contract extension, 8 years. That seems to be what they were always going to be going for. You and I, in talking with Tom Dundon, owner of the Carolina Hurricanes, talking to Don Waddell, president, general manager, they were very upfront from the end of the season. Every single time the Aho thing came up, it was like, no, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. And it finally got around to that. So he's locked in. This is not, it's just a known conclusion. It was just a matter of what it was going to look like. We now know the details of the deal, and we understand what Sebastian Aho is for the Carolina Hurricanes going forward. It's a conversation you and I have had. Luke DeCock, who's sitting next to us from the News and Observer, columnist, he's straight up said it to us. He's the next captain of the Carolina Hurricanes. In order to make that happen, you got to lock him in. They backed it up, and here we are.
Yeah, Aho's only 26 years old. Yeah. I think sometimes we forget that. Look, this gets him more money for next year. He was under contract for $8.4 million. Now it goes up to $9.75. All right, so there's a little bit of a win for him, but ultimately this is a win for the Canes. This is a team-friendly deal. This is your best player.
Yes.
Now, we've talked about, can you win the cup if Sebastian Aho is your best player? What they need to do is augment the wings and the scorers around him. He's not Teuvo Teravainen, where he's not incapable of scoring. He is a capable scorer. You just want to see, last 2 years, 37 goals, 36 goals. That's what you want to see out of him. And the 38 goals the year before that. So what the Canes want out of Sebastian Aho is they want to see him in the playoffs take it to that next level. They want him to be Rod Brindamore in the playoffs. That's what they want. He's an all-around player.
He facilitates so much, but
he does a lot of good. He does a lot of things good, and he really doesn't do that much great. How about that?
I can relate.
Yeah.
So, but I think there are two things that are working against Sebastian Aho. There's the actual on ice performance and what people want out of what are considered high level elite NHL players, which the Canes have one in Sebastian Aho. But what does it look like? Is it high goal scoring, coming up big in the playoffs, those types of things?
Well, he still hasn't had a 100-point season. I think that is somewhat glaring.
But there's a little Jordan Staal. He doesn't have Jordan Stahl's defensive prowess, obviously. Right. But when we talk about Jordan Staal, people get wrapped up in the goal scoring, and they go, "Yeah, but look at all the other things that he's doing." And I think again, that's the important part about Sebastian Aho. I also, look, if you want to call me homerish for this type of thing, but we have plenty of evidence to back this up. If Sebastian Aho was not playing with the Carolina Hurricanes, let's say he did sign with Montreal or something like that, or they got him, or if he played it in a market that the traditional media likes to pump up all the time, Sebastian Aho would be discussed in a completely different way. But because with the Carolina Hurricanes, it ends up being somewhat buried in a way. But look, it was going to happen. I'm glad it happened. It's over. Sebastian Aho's locked in,
and much easier than the last time around.
Yes,
you mentioned the Montreal offer sheet. And that was the big thing for me when we had talked to Tom about Aho.
Yeah.
Like, hey, man, is there any ill will from that last time? Is this thing going to get done? He straight up told us, this is going to get done. I'm not worried about it.
One other Carolina Hurricanes note before we get to housekeeping, Aho's the big news. That's the thing that people should be focused on, and how can, as you said, augment around Sebastian Aho.
Which, again, they tried last year with Max Pacioretty. That was the best laid plans.
Tony DeAngelo also finally signed with the will he or won't he with the Carolina Hurricanes. And this is more of an editorial in how we talk about Tony DeAngelo versus what Tony DeAngelo actually is. The amount of wasted energy people have about Tony DeAngelo is, at this point, mind-numbing. I'm not really interested in engaging who Tony DeAngelo is or isn't. We know that not everybody on your team is like the favorable guy or whatever it is. Let's just look at it for what is consistent with the Carolina Hurricanes. Tony DeAngelo is what Tom Dundon absolutely loves to do. Hasn't worked anywhere else. I'll make it work.
Yeah.
I made it work that 1 year replacing Dougie Hamilton. He was at replacement level for about $1 million. Oh, it failed in Philadelphia, and we can get him for 1.67 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And we can put him on. Seriously, what number defenseman is he on the Carolina Hurricanes this upcoming season?
It's a completely different role.
Than
the last time.
He's going to be buried,
and it's a little bit of a bonus, in my opinion.
Yes, and if he can help him out
at a cost where,
if he can help him on the power play, which is what we've been screaming about,
well,
then make it happen.
First power play, second power play. That's how you get to that 100-point level. By the way, Sebastian Aho is just speaking of replacement level, just having a replacement level power play.
Yes, totally with you on that.
Housekeeping.
So I've gotten some tweets about the stickers, because we've been retweeting people who have said, "Hey, thanks for the sticker." Are they putting on something? Just email me.
Yeah.
The OG goes digital at gmail.com. Again, the OG goes digital at gmail.com. Put the headline, the subject line, sticker, and send me your address. The address is important, and I'll mail it out to you. The kind of way I'm looking at this is, any money we make off of YouTube,
bonus.
It's bonus. And you know what? I can buy a stamp with the YouTube money and send you guys stickers. Basically, yes. That's essentially what we're getting. The amount of stickers I've been sending out comes out to about what we're making in terms of YouTube money. No, I take it back. The YouTube money is what's buying us the stickers. We can buy the stickers with the YouTube money. But I'll take it. I'll take it. And if the listeners want it, I'm all into it. I would promote the golf tournament, but I'm pretty sure the golf tournament's already sold out.
We have either 1 or 2 spots as we speak left.
What do we have, like 3
groups? We have 1 or 2 groups left.
Okay, that's cool.
So
that's cool.
I made the smart decision to sell them by group.
Yeah.
Instead of sitting there trying to, so I could sell 18 of something, right? It's going to be a little bit harder for me to sell 72 of something. So let's knock the number down.
All right.
And no, looking forward to it. Eagle Ridge, October 6th.
Okay.
It's going to be a day. It's going to be fun.
It'll be a lot of fun.
We're going to have prizes.
Ooh.
I'm excited about it.
Do I need to order more cups?
No, we're going to have a little bit better stuff than that, because I'll just spoil it since I've already sent them the contract. Home Field Apparel is coming on. Start of the football season. And if you have not put on one of their sweatshirts,
it's the best.
I'm telling you,
they're the best.
It's like a blanket.
Yeah.
It is like a hug.
Wait, so are we giving out home field gear?
We will be buying some stuff because this little boondoggle of ours, we'll try to treat the people who have taken care of us.
Love it. Right? Absolutely love it.
So I'm going to try to come up with at least 9 prizes because we'll have tickets.
Mm-hmm.
We can get our hands on some Canes tickets, some NC State basketball tickets from our friends at NC State basketball, some NC State baseball tickets. Keep an eye out for the Law of the Wolf this week with Elliot Avent from the Oakwood Pizza Box. Great episode. You want to hear about Henry Kissinger and A-Rod and Elliot and his dad at a game? This is your chance.
That's a tease.
Move on.
ACC Kickoff Day 2 in Charlotte, and joining us on the Heister Automotive Group hotline, our friend Roddy Jones. Then you're actually shooting up the charts and our favorite person to talk to because you gave me the highest compliment anybody could have ever given.
Well, it was true. It's that you guys have the best setup on Radio Row, and that is the ultimate compliment. You've got Topps baseball cards. We've got color changing. These color changing cups.
Yeah.
My girls love these. You guys will be my girls' favorite show.
Perfect.
In the world, including any show that I'm on, because of these color changing cups.
Well, nothing tops Bluey. I've heard that Bluey is like the top rated kid show these days.
It's good. It's
a good show.
But Bluey never gave color changing cups.
You know what? That's a really good point. That's a really good point. All right, man. So I feel like Clemson got it. Florida State, yeah, they're back, etc. What are we missing? What are we missing at kickoff so far? What are we not talking about?
Oh man, it's a good question. I think that we talk about this like it's a 2-horse race and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Like those are the only 2 teams that are capable of making the ACC championship game, and I don't believe that. I think that you have 3 other teams with the potential of a 4th, but like Miami's burned me enough where I'm not even going to mention them in the conversation. But 3 other teams, they also play both Clemson and Florida State, so that kind of eliminates them. But 3 other teams that have a real shot. I think Carolina's got a real shot.
Agree.
I think Pitt's got a real shot.
Agree.
And I think NC State's got a real shot.
Oh, you don't have my other red and white team.
Louisville?
Louisville.
I am not ready to jump in on Louisville yet. It is 100% the schedule.
Well, they also got 24 guys out of the portal.
Exactly. So what do I do with that? Like, how do I evaluate what they're going to be? I don't know. I look at the schedule. I'm like, oh, they won 8 games last year, so sounds about right. Like,
with not even really liking
more.
Their coach,
right? Yeah,
having some injuries. And
all right, so for our purposes, I am curious about State because Carolina's getting all the run because they got Drake May.
Yep.
And people are curious about how things are going to run with Chip Lindsey.
As am I.
People are also curious with all the transfer portal action for the secondary, how that's, with Gene Chizik, how is that defense going to improve? They got nowhere to go but up, obviously. Right. State, I think people have forgotten State because State had a window. They missed opportunity. Last year is a Rorschach test.
It's weird. State's season's really weird when you look at it.
When you actually look at NC State's season in context, I actually consider it a success.
It should have been a 10-win team.
But they had 5 different quarterbacks get 5 wins, and you had dramatic wins over ECU.
4.
Is it 4?
Yeah.
Why did I say 5? My bad. So you had ECU and Carolina, bookending this crazy season with all the quarterback injuries.
On a
everything
kick.
Else.
On a missed kick, no less.
And people acted as though our little curse reverse didn't work. Okay? Anyway.
Could have been a lot worse.
So because of that 2-year pandemic window that they had built this deep team and they ran it back, I don't think anybody knows what to make of this group.
Yeah.
And Brennan Armstrong, Robert Anai is supposed to be, the special sauce for the offense this season. Defense has a lot of experience, even if you don't recognize a lot of these guys because they're all coming up. To me, they're actually one of the more intriguing teams, and we're not just saying that because they're based in the triangle. I guess you're seeing it the same way.
I absolutely do, and I think NC State's potential entirely lies on what they can do with Brennan Armstrong on offense. I am not concerned at all about that NC State defense. I think they'll take a slight step back because that's just natural. But it's not because they're not deep. I think the defensive line could be one of the best in the league, certainly top 3, up with Florida State and Clemson. You look at the linebacker room, and yes, losing Drake Thomas is a significant loss, especially because that dude was the defensive player of the year in the conference last year. No offense to Elijah Cansey, it was Drake Thomas. Losing Elijah Moore is massive, but the 2 guys that are replacing him played a ton 2 years ago when Elijah Moore and Peyton Wilson were out. So they've gotten game experience. You look at that defensive line, and I think Davin Van is probably the guy who we're not talking enough about on defense, and the step that he could take sort of coming out of the shadow of the guys I just mentioned and being the guy on that defense. And then they've got the best corner in the league in Aiden White on the back end. Now, I am concerned, probably isn't the right word, but they're replacing a lot in the secondary. Again, guys that have played, though, are replacing them. So Tony Gibson does a fantastic job. They play great defense. My question is, who are the playmakers on offense? And if they can find those and somehow get Brendan Armstrong back to 2 years ago, Brendan Armstrong, where he threw for 4,500 yards while playing 10 and a half games, it's just an insane rate. Then I think they can absolutely be in the conversation to be in the conference championship game.
Roddy Jones, ACC champion, joining us here on Ovies plus Giglio. What do you think now in this new divisionless world? You were a guy on the coastal side before Clemson and Florida State really got hot. You got your title, though.
Yep.
So what do you think now? Because you're saying that we should be thinking about more teams that could be in this championship game than we're really talking about. First of all, you played. Where didn't you go in your career?
Maryland.
That was it?
That was it.
Okay.
That was it. And they went there when I was redshirted, and we played Maryland my senior year. So I played against every team.
Oh, because you were in the 12-team league.
I only missed the trip. Yeah, I only missed the trip to Maryland.
Okay. So what do you think of this? I love, first of all, it was my schedule model. I'm mad that Jim did not give me a point to the passer. Maybe I didn't go to Carolina. You can't get the point to the passer if you didn't go to Carolina. I should totally get that. No, but I love the schedule model. I love that all these players are going to be able to go and see all of the different spots in the ACC. I think it's awesome. But I also love, hey, let's just put the two best teams in the title game. Yeah. It just seems more fair.
It definitely is. I look at it from the first angle that you said. From a player standpoint, you should go to everywhere in the league.
Yes.
If you play at Duke and you never get to go to Clemson, when Clemson's great.
Yeah.
Did you really play in the league? We played in Blacksburg when Tyrod Taylor was there. We played in Tallahassee with Christian Ponder at quarterback, and as they were building that thing, we played in the early Dabo era at Clemson, and so you kind of saw all of those at the ground up. And also, conversely, if you play at Florida State and you never go to Wallace Wade,
right?
Did you really play in the league? Because that's an experience. That's an experience in this league. But if you have never made the long walk to the visitors' locker room at halftime, gotten in there and looked up at the clock and seen that there's only 9 minutes left in halftime,
we better start walking back.
Have you really lived? You have not played in this league. So, and it gives you an opportunity to see sort of some of the stadiums, arenas, fan bases that we don't talk as much about. NC State being chief among those. I didn't go to NC State until my senior year. And I was like, where's this place been all my life? I loved playing in Carter Finley. And I think we had a good day that day after Russell Wilson torched us the year before.
Yeah. So I'm curious.
So it's 11? Your senior year was 11?
Yeah, 11.
He's youngin', man. He's a youngin'.
Oh, yeah.
Did you always want to be a running back?
My dad was a running back in college, so I feel like it was preordained. I was there was sort of a self-selection part of it, or maybe a natural selection part of it, where it's like, all right, you can throw, but you're never going to be tall enough to be a quarterback.
So,
you can catch, but not really well enough. And slot receivers weren't a thing. We had not entered the age of Welker when I was getting into my into high school, or we had just started it. So I wasn't going to be a receiver because I wasn't tall enough. So it was corner, strong safety. I guess I could have played free too, but corner, safety, and running back were the choices. And then my high school head coach made the decision because I was a cornerback.
Okay.
Until my sophomore year, and then he was like, you know what? We need somebody to run the ball. We're going to run the ball a lot. You go there.
If you were coming up today, would you say, I don't want to be a running back because of the economics of it?
At a young age, I don't know that I would have thought about the economics of it.
You just want to play.
So it's a great question. I probably would have ended up as more of a slot type receiver, I think.
Okay.
I think that's where everybody wants to be now.
Exactly. And that's mainly, it's not as much because of the economics. It's more because of 7-on-7.
Yeah.
That is the culture that you would grow up in now.
I didn't think about that.
And so to make yourself valuable in 7-on-7s, running backs aren't doing anything.
But what I find strange, what's going on in the NFL right now, it started with Christian McCaffrey and the contract that the Panthers gave him. People were like, how could you? He's a running back. I'm like, he's not. I mean, in title he is, but look at all the things that he does. You can line him up anywhere. And now with Saquon Barkley, he's been the offense for the Giants. And meanwhile, they're giving Daniel Jones like another chance. And they're giving him a bunch of money. And, you know, they're dicking around with what they're doing with running backs, you know, with the franchise. It's like it's the only position in the NFL that's actually seen a decrease in value with the franchise tag, which is crazy to me. And given what that position means to an offense, of course, the cynical way of looking at it will point to a Super Bowl winning team with the running back as the MVP. Right. It's like, y'all, it's not that simplified. I mean, hell, you mentioned Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson's probably got, what, 2 Super Bowls if they hand it off to Marshawn Lynch?
Yeah.
So, anyway. So, I was just kind of curious from your...
Not probably.
Yeah, yes. What I was just, you know, from your position, how you see this, if it just kind of changes even people who want to be running backs going forward.
Probably, with all the attention that it's getting. I don't know what you do about it, though. I think you would have to get rid of the position-based franchise tag in some way, like make it an offensive skill, non-quarterback, make it full lineman, although like a guard would never see a franchise tag again, and probably a running back wouldn't either, because you're not paying that guy $20 million.
True.
So and the running backs probably would enjoy that, but I don't know how you get it back. I think it's a bad what's happened with the running back room is sort of it's a symptom of bad timing. Because when all of this was negotiated, there was a devaluing of the running back, and it was running back by committee, but they were still just running backs. Like, you didn't see a lot of these guys that were splitting out, and you know, guys like a Marshall Faulk, for example, were rare. They existed, but they were rare.
They were rare, yeah.
And then what we've seen over the last, I don't know, really in the Christian McCaffrey era, has been a resurgence or maybe an emergence of what all a running back can do to an offense. So I think it's sort of bad timing, because you've got Christian McCaffrey, Alvin Kamara, you've got Bijan Robinson coming up through, like Saquon Barkley, and we're in this sort of era where you've got these really good backs that are super special, and maybe we just didn't have that throughout, you know, the early teens when they were sort of doing this. But I don't know what you do about it, man. I really don't, because that position still is like, it's a sexy position still, and I don't think guys are going to say, I don't want to be a running back because of the economics long term, because ultimately you want to get there. And being a running back, if you're special at that position, helps you get there. And then you worry about the economics.
Can we talk a little existential crisis? Do you have some time for that?
Existential crises.
Okay. So Eric McLean, our friend.
He's having one?
No.
Oh, okay.
He's our avatar for Clemson, right? I mean, it's always champagne and roses with Clemson, right?
Yeah.
Like, that guy, he's living the life. So Georgia Tech, though, I'm curious, because we've had some super honest conversations with Josh Pastner last basketball season.
Yep.
And he was concerned. I'm concerned, because I'm old school ACC. I like it when Georgia Tech's good. I wonder, though, I mean, 2009 was not that long ago.
No.
Yeah, but
I mean,
Caleb was one.
No, I know, but
Jackson was 1 year.
NC State hasn't won an ACC title since 1979. North Carolina hasn't won an ACC title since 1980.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So Georgia Tech has had recent success. Okay?
And that was in an era where they were playing in their second ACC championship game in 4 years.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Or 3 years.
And you know, CPJ went back again in 12, right?
Yeah, there's an
15,
asterisk
there's
next to
another
that
one.
one.
Yeah,
14 was the legit one, yeah.
But my point is, this is a program that has been competitive. I don't know, because of the layered academic issues, and you could speak to that and maybe explain that to people when we talk about Georgia Tech academics and what the barrier is there, and the NIL. Yeah. I just don't see, you know, whoever the version of, you know, the big, what's the Diaz? Is that what's the guy's name down in Miami with all the money?
Oh, I forgot
the hospital guy.
I know you're talking about. I forgot the guy's name.
No, not that everyone has one of those. But,
I can
you know,
yell at Joe Rose and ask him.
Georgia Tech, to me, it just feels like Joe was saying yesterday about Northwestern. Maybe they decide this isn't for us anymore. Ruiz.
Thank you.
Yeah. Maybe they just maybe Georgia Tech and Boston College decide maybe this isn't for us.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not trying to be a jerk.
No.
I'm just trying to have a sober look at what Georgia Tech looks like in the NIL era.
I don't think it's tenable for Georgia Tech to ever say this is just not for us.
Okay.
Because you've got schools around, obviously the University of Georgia, but like Kennesaw State's in this thing. And so do you want to be passed by Kennesaw State in terms of investment?
Yeah.
And it's a massive fan base. Georgia State's in this thing for the long haul. Like they have just built incredible resources. And so they all want to be at the top level of college sports. So I don't think Georgia Tech will ever completely bow out. Maybe they just won't admit it. Your concerns are very valid.
Okay.
Academically, like you can get guys in anywhere, like as long as the academic says it's okay. But once you're there, the vast majority of majors at Georgia Tech are bachelors of science, which means you have to take two semesters of calculus. You have to take 2 lab sciences, and you have to pass those classes.
Right.
And you run out of time by the time you're like a junior. You run out of free electives to take before you have to take and pass those classes so you can continue in your core curriculum. That's the issue that Georgia Tech runs into, even if you get guys in the school. So all that
Ovies
being
would
said,
have no chance at even 1 calculus.
your boy barely had a chance. all that
My
being
brother,
said,
on the other hand.
I think Georgia Tech is in a place where if you can find an identity and you can find some consistency and you can be okay doing what Wake Forest has done. Like, I keep telling Georgia Tech people, do not look at Clemson or Georgia. Look at Wake.
Yeah.
Look at State. Like, those are the programs, and Wake more than State. Those are the programs you should model yourself after. You bring in linemen are hard to get. They're in short supply, although Brent Key's done a pretty good job of getting commitments. But that shouldn't be the foundation, is these big-time linemen that you know are going to be good college players. It should be bringing guys in, redshirting every lineman that comes in, and develop them. And you can find skill guys on the street. Like, skill guy can play him as a freshman. Lineman can play a little bit, redshirt him. Doesn't matter. And you become that sort of program with the depth. And I hope that they get there. You can't do that in the short term.
Yeah.
Like, the era that we live in, you have to have some sort of success early on. I don't know if what Dave Clawson did in the early version of Wake would last at most schools now.
Right.
Barely. Well, I don't know if it barely lasted a week. It definitely lasted because they knew what was going on. But he purposefully redshirted people that could help them win in the early days.
Yeah.
And it helped them in 15, 16, but it didn't help them in 13, 14. So I think Georgia Tech has to sort of take a measured approach of, we'll adopt a lot of that.
Let's take a long view.
We're still going to recruit Atlanta. We're never going to win the NIL battles. But if we pick and choose, there's money at Georgia Tech. And
it's not coming from you, though, right?
Absolutely not, because I ain't got the money. West Durham got the money. but I would say, like, Georgia Tech's donor base is like a very it's like a well. It's not broad, but it's very deep. And so if you can engage those people and get them invested in those things and give them something to believe in, then I absolutely think that you can compete with certainly the mid-tier and maybe the bottom of the top tier occasionally on stuff like NIL. They're doing stuff with facilities. They're handcuffed there a little bit.
You think players care about facilities anymore?
Yeah, definitely.
They do.
I think facilities are now a reason. They're not a reason to say yes. They're a reason to say no.
Yeah.
So you walk into a place and it looks completely different from what I've seen everywhere else. Yeah, it doesn't matter what you're offering. I ain't coming here.
You don't want to slide. You don't want
Exactly.
You don't want a putt course. But if the equipment sucks, if your sleep pod ain't right, well then yeah.
If it doesn't look good on my TikTok, like
Right.
I can't do
Actually, it's
this.
funny. That's actually one of the things I want to talk to the players about today. It's like, did you miss, like, the older guys? Like, did you miss the windows where everybody's doing these Photoshop?
Yeah.
Like, you're dressed like a king.
I
You're
know.
just committed.
I don't
like,
see. That's the thing.
like,
I
what
don't
is
know if
that
I would have.
about?
I don't know if I would have done that. Like, I just don't.
We do that for our advertisers.
I guess. but like the photo shoot with 17 different schools so
Right.
that you have all those pictures. Like, I don't know that I would have wanted a picture in a Georgia uniform after I went to Tech. Like, I don't know if I'd have wanted one in a Clemson uniform.
Destroy that
right
now.
Like, if I had Duke stuff on, and then you're playing the Blue Devils. Like, where does that picture go?
I would definitely put that on the scoreboard.
Well,
All right, before we get out of here, you want to open up that action pack, that Team Act, that NFL Fleer? Is that a Fleer pack?
No.
this one?
He's too young.
What am I
you
looking
can have
at?
an 87.
What am I looking
What
at?
do you want a
80
football?
you
What do
want
you
an
want to do?
87
Or do you want
tops?
Garbage Pail? We got Pokemon.
I kind of want the Pokemon.
Open up
Yeah,
the Pokemon.
go ahead.
I'm
Were
gonna
you a
open up the
Pokemon
I
guy?
Pokemon.
feel like those are going to your girls too.
I was. Like, I was original Game Boy Pokemon.
Yeah,
like,
I was going to say, even though you're younger
I have
than
not
me,
done. I have been searching for a Pokemon Red. I will buy a Game Boy
Oh, I
and
got
that
one.
game. Do you really?
Yeah.
I would.
right.
I would do bad things to people for
When
that. thing.
you next time you roll through the triangle, let me know.
Yeah.
But what are you gonna do with it? Like,
Nothing.
you got to have it.
It's just sitting there. It's collecting dust.
Yeah.
It's just, all right. we are making a trip to the Triangle.
I'm a dork who collects all Nintendo things.
I will be there.
Joe knows this about me.
I do like it when I turn on a random Big 12 game and hear your voice.
I love it.
But I do prefer, obviously.
Well, I will be
when
they
I
announced
hear
this
you
yesterday. I'll be in Raleigh for the ACC Summer Tour on August 4th.
Okay.
I may have gotten.
We might not be there.
No. I know I got Pokemon. I know I got Pokemon Yellow.
Oh, that's
Pikachu.
close enough.
I know I have Pokemon
There
Yellow.
we go. Now this is completely out of my gourd now, so you gotta tell me if something's good.
Did you just do the game, or did you do the cards?
I did the cards, but like, I think we were up to 200 when I stopped. I don't even know what number they're up to now.
Okay.
Like, I don't know who Relor, Tadbub, Frigibax, Tandemouse, Mabostiff, Pupitar.
Pupitar?
No,
I've seen that.
Pupitar.
No, there's no Pupitar. Come on now.
Flamigo. Electrode. Electrode was one.
Electrode
was legit. It was an OG.
Yeah.
And
Pupitar.
a bombs. A bomb now.
Atom bomb?
Is that coffee powered?
That's
Pupitar?
one.
Is that what this is?
That's one of like 20 cards that were around when I was back in my day.
Back in my day, but
We were lucky to get a Mewtwo.
Back in our day, Pikachu was fat. He was
Yeah,
thick.
that's true.
Now he's got.
Does he slim down?
Oh yeah, he's super slimmed down now.
It's not as cute.
Your girls like Pokemon? Take
They will.
Yeah, take a card. Take a pack, man.
Those are the best.
Roddy Jones, we appreciate it, man. We'll talk to you later.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Next topic, please.
Always love catching up with Roddy Jones. He is the absolute best. And by all means, look forward to watching him on ESPN and doing the radio things and everything else. Shout out to the Butcher's Market for sponsoring Ovies and Giglio while we're out here in Charlotte for the ACC Kickoff. It's funny. We've been getting people who listen to the pod and they say, hey, man, that steak and cheese you guys have been talking about, is there a Butcher's Market out here? Like, no, got to get out to the Triangle to do that sort of thing.
Holly Springs, Home Base, Cary, you name it, they're there. Look, if you haven't gone there yet, I really don't know what you're waiting for at this point.
Do it.
I texted Kenneth over at the Butcher's Market. I'm like, hey, man, I promise all of these people are not related to me and I am not paying them. I promise you.
So anyway,
that's the best part of what we've done is seeing people really just be like, hey, wow, this is really good stuff.
Yes. And let people know when you get to the Butcher's Market, tell them, even if they look at you funny, like, okay, sure, Ovies and Giglio.
No, they'll pass it on.
They'll pass it on. Tell them that we sent you. We truly appreciate that. And again, we can talk about steak, we can talk about the chicken, but low key, hot dogs. We're still in grilling season. Those hot dogs are no joke.
Bought 2 pounds of them the other day.
Nice.
They're so good.
Nice. Love it. Love it. Also, shout out to Breeze Through for sponsoring Ovies and Giglio. Joe's got the lifetime free refills. I know you can purchase those. I know that one store ran out of them. Again, that's another testament.
Adam had to pull these aside for us for the OG mixtape.
Oh, for real?
Yes, sir.
Love it.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. By the way, the OG mixtape is coming together.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if we'll have time to do it. Actually, we should. We might be able to do it next week.
Next
but
Thursday.
We have to get listeners. We have to get listeners.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what's going on with Breeze Through. Wes Durham decided to sit down for some reason while we're in the middle of recording. I don't know what's going on here.
Yeah, let him in.
Well,
we're doing ads. He loves when we do ads.
Yeah, we're talking Breeze Through, Wes. Oh, wait a minute. Let me unmute.
I'm only sitting here because I'm waiting on another sports station to talk to me. I figured it.
You're so popular.
You don't want to pimp Breeze Through for us? I mean, get some gas.
I thought you were on that
Look,
NIL.
When I am part of the NIL.
Yeah.
And when I stop by, I'm going to get the coffee.
Yes.
You've now convinced me I'm going to Breeze Through for coffee.
Dark
Awesome.
roast. They also have crowlers at the Breeze Through.
That's
Love
it. Yeah.
Next topic.
ACC Kickoff, Charlotte, and Mike Elko, Duke head football coach, is hanging out with us here on day 2. Congrats on the contract extension.
Yeah, appreciate that. That's a great sign for our program.
Yeah, but that's after 1 year. Like this is about Duke and commitment and I guess what you see in this program, right?
Yeah, I think, we asked a lot of questions about Duke's commitment to football before I took the job. And that was something that we wanted to make sure was in line. And, obviously it means a lot to me that Vince and Nina doubled down on that commitment based off the year that we had. And so I think it's a great thing for our program. I think it's a great thing, obviously, for my family to have the job security. And so we're just excited about what we can build at Duke.
Look, man, travel hockey's not cheap. So I'm
You know.
You see me at the rink, and yeah, we have another year of that coming up. So I'm guessing that's like, look, guys, this we're all over the equipment is not cheap. Actually, what's more expensive, hockey equipment or football equipment?
So I've never had to buy football equipment.
True,
So,
I guess it's always given to you.
yeah,
that's
so,
true.
So
That's true.
to us, there's nothing more expensive in life than travel hockey. And so honestly, my son's not playing this year.
Okay.
So what we're thinking about doing is buying season tickets to the games.
Yeah, man.
With all the money we saved.
Absolutely. Yeah, actually, I think season tickets are cheaper than a couple of skates.
There's
But
no
anyway.
doubt.
To Coach Mike Elko, second year. All right, you didn't get a chance to see the Clemson Tigers last year. You like opening with a challenge like that? Does that help get the players' attention and all those other good cliches that we hear?
Yeah, so this is what I would tell you in all honesty, right? Mike Elko, the head football coach, doesn't want it. Right? Mike
Does
Elko,
not.
the football coach, wants to play a whole bunch of 0-12 teams, and I want to be a 28-point favorite every week. Mike Elko, the CEO of Duke football, these are the games we want, right? The CEO says, these are the opportunities on national stages to get this type of game for our program. These are the things that we want if we want to continue to elevate and build our brand. And so, I wish we weren't playing the Clemson Tigers in the game, but, it is what it is. And so we got to rise up to the challenge.
That seems to be kind of the talking point around the Blue Devils this year. How do you follow up last year, which was a surprise for a lot of folks. Maybe not you, but a surprise for a lot of people watching the ACC. And the sentiment is you could be better this year, but your record might not reflect that because of the schedule. How do you kind of approach that?
Yeah,
that mindset?
I mean, we're approaching it the same way we approached last year, honestly. And this is going to sound like coach speak, but it's the reality. Like, we just have to become the best team we can become.
Okay.
Like, that's what we have to do. That's the only thing that we can control. And we can't be defined by results. Said the same thing last year. We were going to put our head down and work, and at the end of the year, pick our head up and see what happened. And we have to do the same thing this year. We know we're going to be a better team. We've got 17 returning starters. We're bigger, we're faster, we're stronger. We know the teams that we play had better records than the ones we played last year. Those are all just facts, but I don't know that necessarily defines what we're getting into. We got to go to work, and we got to make plays, and we got to see what happens.
Gotcha.
When you win 9 games and you overachieve by most standards, right? A lot of people tell you, that's really awesome. That was great. Then they start telling you, hey, man, this guy's really good. This guy's a good coach. This Riley Leonard, he's a good quarterback. Would you rather have last year where everyone's like, oh, man, Duke's going to finish DFL. They're not going to win any games. Yeah. Would you rather have that type of chip than having to fight the urge to tell your kids, don't listen.
Don't read.
Don't do it.
This is no disrespect to the previous regime, but no, I wouldn't want that because that would have been my season. So coming out of a season where I'm the head football coach, I certainly don't want people talking about, they were so bad last year. We have no expectations for them this year. And so, last year it was what it was. We're not shying away from the fact that we want to be a really good program. We're not shying away from the fact that we take football really seriously at Duke now. And so, with that are going to come some of these expectations, and we need it. We need people talking positively about Duke football for us to go out and recruit at a higher level and get our alumni engaged and get fan support to grow. Like, we need all of this to get the program where we want to go. So maybe to some degree, it's just a necessary evil.
Speaking of chips on shoulder, does Riley Leonard have one going into this season? Because we talk about quarterbacks in this league. Across the way, Drake May's getting a lot of run, understandably. Jordan Travis is getting a lot of run at Florida State. But Riley put up some big numbers last year. I know you're still upset about that Duke Carolina game. I'm still mad about how that game ended for you all because I watched that game and I saw how good Riley was and I see how he was good all year. But it's not necessarily kind of discussed in that quarterback class. I mean, you got some people say, hey, don't sleep on him, but does he pay attention to that? Is there a chip on his shoulder to back up what he did last year?
No, listen, it comes down to, and it's really this simple. Like, we put in a ton of work for 352 days for 12 to 13 games, right? And so I think probably the most overblown cliche in coaching is you're disrespecting my guys and we're going to go get respect.
Thank you.
And like, at the end of the day, Riley's talented.
Yeah.
And Riley's not going on the field to try to prove to people he's better than Drake May. He's going on the field to try to win football games for Duke. And that's not going to change regardless of where you rank him in the preseason quarterback rankings. And so, I don't know. I don't know that we had a chip on our shoulder last year. I think we invested a lot. We worked really hard. We became a better team, and we went out and executed well enough to win some football games, and that got us 9 wins. I don't know that we got 9 wins because we had a chip on our shoulder, and that's how it happened.
I appreciate the candidness when it comes to the cliches today.
Yeah.
You're just breaking down the cliches. I love this.
I think you need to open up a pack of these 87 cards because we might be getting the signal. So
Yeah, we're getting the signal that you got to wrap things
Okay,
up. Now,
so
I
I'm going to go. Can I go into the bottom?
Go in.
Yeah,
Go in.
absolutely. Go.
Did you guys take out all the bubble gum?
I
No,
already
the gum
tried.
is
So
still
the
in there.
gum is still in there.
I tried
Yeah.
the bubble gum
Okay.
yesterday. I
Let's
do not
see.
recommend.
it was not a good idea.
Let's see if I remember any of these guys.
Remember some
the
dudes.
gum cannot be good anymore. There's no chance.
Don't
Let's
try
see.
it. It'll cut the inside of your mouth.
Let's see. Oh, a little Willie Wilson, center fielder for the Royals.
There we go.
Chuck Finley, left-handed
Nice.
pitcher for the Angels.
Nice.
Ooh.
Hey,
I don't think I did great.
You're striking out.
Oh, little oil can Boyd from the
I
Boston
think
Red
he's got the
Sox.
same
On the
jacket I
name.
have on.
I
right
think
now.
so. I think so. It looks like your jacket. Joe Negro.
Oh, I was gonna say you need a Yankee
Gotta
here,
get a
man.
Yankee.
Come on.
Yeah,
So
got
I
that
see
in
you
there.
guys got Dave Rigetti on the.
Yeah,
on the
you might
top
need to
pack
bust
here.
another pack here. Let's
no,
try
I'm
one
good.
more.
Wait,
I'm good. I
Dave,
like it.
Sure?
Dave, you got a Dave Rigetti story for us? or
Yeah.
something?
So first Yankee game I ever was at is Dave Rigetti's no hitter, July 4th, 1983.
Awesome.
And so that's my first stop at Yankee Stadium.
Well, if we open up some more and we find a Rigetti card, I'll track you
We'll
down.
save it
I
for you.
appreciate it.
And
Appreciate you guys.
or look, I told you last time we chatted, we talked about baseball stars for the Nintendo.
Yeah.
I haven't forgotten about that.
Okay.
All right, so we're gonna work something out.
We'll figure that out.
Do you have a working Nintendo still? Or
I
no?
do not have a working.
See, I do.
At
I
this
do.
point in my life, I'm way not able to do the Nintendo stuff.
I've got
anymore.
a working Nintendo. I got an old Trinitron TV. Everything works. I'm gonna bring it.
Bring it over.
All right,
Bring it
we'll do
over.
this.
Love to see you guys.
All right,
Appreciate
man.
you having me on.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, guys.
Big thanks to Mike Elko for hanging out with us here on Ovies and Giglio. I like Duke's football coach, man. Seems to get it. Young guy, likes his baseball cards. I like the way he's talking about Duke. It's not just like, oh, cute Duke, here we go. Like, no, he's serious about this. So they got the money to get behind it. So let's see how far it can go, man.
And you sign a new contract like that.
Yeah.
You know what he could buy? A new house.
Do you think he needs mosquito control?
Probably.
Do you think he needs pest control?
we can take care of that too?
We can. We can.
We got a guy for that.
we got a guy for everything. Shout out to Mosquito Authority and Pest Authority for sponsoring us. Bugsbite.com. I use Mosquito Authority to keep things in check in my backyard during this time of the year. Works wonderfully. Joe, you've had Pest Authority come out, take care of your business.
Yeah, it's not just mosquito authority; it's pest authority. Mice in the attic. Oh man, what a headache, Joe! What a headache. Hayes Lancaster and his crew, they've got the cure for all of your headaches. Give them a shout. Find them online, bugsbite.com.
What's up next? What's up next?
At ACC Kickoff, we like to talk to all our friends at ACC Kickoff. It's like a convention for all the ACC football knowledge. And Andrea Adelson from ESPN's hanging out with us. We got Carolina. We know that. Everybody obsesses over Clemson. Florida State is the most intriguing team in the ACC this year, right?
No question.
They got to back up what they did last year, and they're kind of like in that weird, the U is back. The Seminoles are back. That's kind of their position this year, right?
We're talking about the Noles.
Talk about the Noles. Let's
I just
go.
wanted to say that. Look, no question. And I remember headed into kickoff last year. Florida State was fairly confident going into the season, and I don't think anybody quite believed them or thought they would have the type of season that they did. And it was just kind of like, oh, whatever. Of course, that's what Florida State's going to say. Of course, Florida State's going to say this is going to be the year for us. And it was. Aside from a 3-game stretch in the middle of the year, they looked pretty good.
Sure.
And so now you take that 10-win season. We're not talking about 0-4 in Jacksonville State anymore. We're talking about a Florida State team that essentially returns every single important player that they had from a year ago, headed into this year with a new confidence, a new optimism, a new swag, to be honest, because they are embracing these expectations.
That's great.
Nobody there is shying away from it. You know
Perfect.
why? Because we're Florida State, and this is the way people should be talking about us. So why would we shy away from it? Yes, they're the most intriguing team because you guys know as well as I do, this league, desperately needs Florida State to be Florida State.
They do. They do. Although it's funny, the differences between Florida State and Clemson. Clemson and Dabo, it's the doubling down of, we talked to Eric Macklin about this yesterday. He's like, well, they can't go into the transfer portal because who are they going to take off? It's already full. Norvell's gone about it the different way. Now, they're in a different position.
Right.
They're still kind of paying for the sins of Jimbo Fisher's exit. And he attacked the
Literally.
portal, literally paying for it. And if you will. So I feel like Norvell, you can complain about it or you can embrace it. And I think Norvell's done an amazing job embracing it, and that's why they've had such a quick turnaround, right?
His
I don't know
plan.
how quick it was.
I think it was yesterday. I think they were ahead of schedule last year, and that's why that turnaround's there.
I think they were ahead of schedule last year, too, because back in 2020, David Hale and I wrote this story about what happened to Florida State football.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the quotes that still sticks out to me is they're in a deep, deep hole, and I don't know how they're going to get their way out. That was 3 years ago that we wrote this story. So in my view, I also feel like this is probably a little bit ahead of schedule, and it's because of what Mike Norvell has done with the transfer portal. They have been very strategic in how they have approached the transfer portal. If you look at almost all, not all, almost all the transfers they've taken, they have filled a very key need that they have had, whether it was on the offensive line, the defensive line, in the secondary, and the players have had more than 1 year of eligibility. So it's not as if it's a 1 year transfer, you're out. They've been able to build with transfers who've been there for multiple years. Jared Verse, 2 years, right? You look at Dylan Gibbons on the offensive line last year. He was there for 2 years. They have Johnny Wilson's now coming back for his second year as a transfer. We can sit here and go through Tatum Bethune, one of their top linebackers, second year as a transfer. So we could sit here and start going through the roster and say, here's how many multiple year starters they have off of transfers, but that's what they're trying to do. They don't want guys who are going to come in here for a year and then leave. They want to be able to set the foundation, build with players that they believe in, and now that is going to be able to trickle down to the freshmen who can see the work ethic of the transfers they have brought in to make this a team that knows how to win. And I think that's what they have here, quite honestly. They have a team that works. When Mike Norvell got there, they did not have a team that worked.
No.
They had a team that did not want to be there. Now they have a bunch of guys who want to be there and who have played together for a really long time. So that's why we are talking about Florida State, and that's why there's a lot of pressure on Florida State headed into this year.
Starting with the opener
Absolutely.
against LSU. I felt like it was a Jedi mind trick last year. They beat LSU.
They did.
I was an AP voter, and I'm sitting here voting them in front of LSU, and everyone's like, oh, LSU is better than Florida State. I'm like, they played.
They did.
Oh, they blocked an extra point as if that's not a play. I was like, okay.
But they dominated
So weird.
the majority of that
Yes.
game until the fourth quarter. Like,
Yes.
people forget that because of the way the game ended.
Down in New Orleans.
Right? But for 3 quarters, Florida State was very clearly the best team on the field until they almost let it go.
I worry about Florida State is fool's gold, though.
I understand that.
You know what
And
I mean?
To your point, we were on a work call talking about the season, and one of my colleagues, we were talking about Florida State and what we're going to write about Florida State headed into the season, and one of my colleagues said, can Florida State beat LSU? And I looked at them and I said, they did it last year.
They did.
That's not the game I'm worried about. Like that
Which
to
game are you
me.
worried about?
Clemson?
No.
Southern Miss.
No.
We're going down the schedule.
I'm gonna work backwards. I'm gonna work backwards here, right?
Okay.
Because I saw Florida State and Raleigh.
Yeah.
And they somehow got on the shit end of a stick of a state game.
Yeah,
you got to work pretty hard.
That's happened to them multiple times, though.
And it has. And you've been there. I know. We were the press box together. But I'm sitting here going, okay, so they beat Miami, who openly quit on their coach. I mean, they beat the snot out of Miami, but Miami openly quit on their coach. Syracuse, they beat 38-3. That was a good win. Florida, I don't know how good Florida was on November 25th. And then Oklahoma, I won't make you say bad things about the guy because he's a great defensive coordinator. He ain't going to be Oklahoma's coach in 2 years' time. You can mark that one down because that ain't going to happen.
I don't
It's not
disagree.
coming home for him. So when you beat great brand names, like this is also funny, too. You're in the soliloquy portion of the OG right now, just so you know. This is also kind of funny because 5 years ago, if you would have said 5 years ago, let's go 10 years ago, you said to Florida State, you're going to win 10 games. you're going to feel really good. You're going to be LSU. You're going to be Oklahoma. You're going to be Florida. They'll be like, yeah, sign me up. Take it.
But
then all of a sudden you win a national championship and you get back to that 10-win mark and you're like, well, why are you only winning 10 games?
Right.
Yeah.
What happened to you guys? So Clemson last year, after winning national championships, Clemson had a really good year last year.
Yep.
It just wasn't to their own standard. So it's interesting to see where Florida State is in the cycle. I do worry, though, that some of those wins at the end of the year, while dominant Miami, Syracuse, I do worry how much of that will carry over this year for this group. But I'm with you. You look at Norvell, you look at that opener in particular, you go, that's a well-coached team. It's like porn. You know a well-coached team when you see it.
No comment on that. But
Joe,
to your point
when
about
you see it, you
Joe,
know
okay.
it. The guy came out of the gate.
we've had this conversation where you got to be careful about going full Giglio. And Joe and
Andrew's
I,
okay with that.
No. I know it's just funny because Giglio and I have been having this. We've been finding out a lot about each other lately, and Joe's had to explain to other people while I'm like typing away or trying to get the content out. He's like, Joe's listening. Don't worry, because we've had that moment
Yeah.
a couple times where he's like, is this guy even like listening to what I'm saying? I'm like, no, I am. What?
Yeah,
Keep going.
yeah.
I'm just multitasking. Anyway.
you heard the P word and you're like, wait just a
What?
Hey,
It was a Supreme Court ruling. I'm not making this up.
hang on. But I understand your point because
Yeah.
I think that Oklahoma performance was disappointing in the way that they came out and played, particularly on defense,
Yeah.
allowing as many rushing yards. By the way, back to back, because Florida ran the ball on them.
Yeah.
You know, if Anthony Richardson
Talented
completed
team, yeah.
5 more passes, Florida wins that game. He couldn't complete a third down pass. I'm sitting there watching this game. I was home that weekend, and I'm like the only one up because it went late.
Yeah.
And I'm watching. It was the Friday night game. I'm watching it, and I'm like, what is Florida State doing? I had been to Florida games that season, so I'd watched both teams, and I'm like, what are they? Do they not? This is their rival. Like, what is happening in this game? But clearly, Florida was very motivated. But Anthony Richardson, I think, completed 9 total passes in that game. So Florida State was the beneficiary of bad Anthony Richardson. And then the Oklahoma performance on defense, in particular, giving up as many. I think they gave up over 200 rushing yards. I don't know, but it was close to that.
But they won those
They won.
6 games. They did.
They did. So I understand that because you can sit here and debate it. Well.
Yeah.
Like, are they going to be the Florida State that just beat the snot out of Miami? Or are they going to be the Florida State that barely beat a bad Florida team? I think...
I just want them to get credit if they beat LSU this time. Like, I feel like they didn't get any credit for it. It was
because
just so
it
weird.
went because of the block. Because as you said,
Yeah.
it was a blocked extra point. And I think now, because Florida State has not been Florida State, people are conditioned to expect the worst out of Florida State. They're conditioned to remember 0-4 Jacksonville State. They don't remember the work that this team has put in. And you mentioned NC State, right?
Yeah.
We just talked to Jared Verse and Kalen DeLoach in the room, and they specifically mentioned that 3-game losing streak, right? NC State was in there. That was a
2
game
points.
Florida State
Clemp
screwed
by
up
a
at the
score.
end
Yeah.
with a play call
Yeah.
into the end zone that shouldn't have happened. Those guys were like, that's not going to happen again. We're not going to let that happen again. And they mean it. Now, are they going to...
It's talking
right?
season,
It's
Andrew.
talk, right?
It's talking
but,
season.
But, you know, they admit they took their foot off the gas.
Fair.
And they're
All
not
right.
going to
They
do
found it
again.
They
So
found it
we'll-
in the last 6 games, that's for sure.
I did.
We'll get out of here on this. You can't say Louisville. You just can't say Louisville.
Why are you so anti-my Louisville?
It's not
pick?
that I'm anti-Louisville. It's just that people look at the schedule and they go, Louisville. So
But the schedule is right there.
I understand that, but because, you know, preseason top 25 rankings always play out that way, right?
Yeah.
So give me the team that's actually going to surprise. Because Louisville's out of the gate. Like, because everybody's picking Louisville's. Who do you think might actually surprise
Well,
this year?
you know, it's hard to say Pitt because you
They
can't
do it
say
every-
them anymore.
yeah,
They
not
do
a
it every
surprise.
year.
Not
And
a
I saw
surprise.
some ranking that had them like 9th or 10th headed into. I can't remember. Pat Narduzzi remembered exactly who it was because I
course he
mentioned it
did,
to him
yeah.
last
Yes.
night. He's like, I don't remember who it was, but they had Pitt somewhere ridiculous. Miami talked a big game yesterday. A very big game, bigger than usual.
Yeah.
I think 8-4 is going to be a good year for them.
Yes.
Is that a
It'll be
surprise?
tremendous progress.
Is 8-4 a surprise for Miami? That's the question after 5 and 7.
Okay, all right. I get where you're going on that, and maybe it's my dad's 70th birthday, so for his birthday, I'm not going to be pessimistic about the U, because my dad is a Miami grad. He's always thinking they're back.
Okay, but is
Not gonna be
8-4 pessimistic for the U?
I don't think so.
I'll give you
Not
the
based
real.
off of last year.
I'll give you the real answer.
What about NC State? Am I allowed to say NC
You
State?
can,
You
but that's
can.
not the real answer.
What's the real answer?
True surprise.
True surprise.
True Duke-like surprise.
Yeah.
Boston College.
Okay.
3-9 last year. Halfley's our guy. You start looking at their schedule going.
Their schedule is very Louisville-like in the way that it sets up for them. I actually talked about Boston College on the radio yesterday because someone was like, what about BC? Their offensive line cannot be
better.
worse. They will be better. Well, they played how many freshmen last year who are going to be playing this year, and Christian Mahogany is back.
I felt so bad for Jeff.
Hafley loves Emmett Moorhead.
Yeah.
Like, loves Emmett Moorhead.
As well he should,
right?
although I want to see him without Zay Flowers. But
Right, and that's the big question.
Yeah.
Where are they going to get some of that skill? But I'm fully expecting Boston College to be a bowl team this year.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, that would be a surprise.
Like
I think for
7-6,
most people.
7-5.
I think most people would be like, whoa.
I think that's what they did his first 2 years.
I know.
So, you know,
did your colleague David Hill show you his Garbage Pail Kid
he did.
acquisitions? He's very excited about it, right?
I was so excited about this when he walked in the room. We had players with us in our room, and I was like, you guys know what this is? Blank stare.
Of course.
And Hale's like, you're going to date us, Andrea. Be quiet. And I was like, but I'm so excited. I see Garbage Pail Kids here. Me and my sister had hundreds of them. And one of our most favorite games to play in our room, of course, I grew up in Florida, so we have fans in every room.
Of course.
We would just take our Garbage Pail Kids and throw them up into the fan and watch them just disperse over across the room. And whoever picked up the most was the winner of that. This is what we did without phones back then.
Yeah.
This is the idiocy that we did. Okay,
Growing up in Florida,
but
it's
for
summer, it's
hours,
humid and gross.
Right?
Yeah, you're staying
throw them
inside.
into the fan.
if I told you that Adam Bomb now is worth $10,000, would you be like, don't talk to me ever again?
Please don't
Or-
talk to me
Okay.
because I swear we threw out the binders and binders. My parents, when they moved, were like, we're getting rid of all your stuff. And I'm sure I forgot that the Garbage Pail Kids were in there.
Brutal.
Get you a pack there. Open one up.
Get a pack. Get a pack and open one up.
Let's do it.
I love this. I love
Okay.
this. Yeah, so for those who are kind of like, I guess we could do the Oak City spot right here if
Yeah,
you
go
want,
ahead.
while Andrea's getting the pack
I'm
of
so
cards.
excited. I'm allowed to open this?
Yeah,
Yeah,
open it.
sure.
Oak City Sports Cards in downtown Raleigh, they provided all these cards for us, including the Garbage Pail Kids. But the most important thing is to get your cards graded. Our guy from Clemson, he's been talking
ready.
it up. He's ready.
He's
like,
ready.
I think I have this card. I saw you on the internet with him.
I know. I
looking
show
up
him.
cards.
Because people don't believe me when I tell them.
So go to Oak City and get your cards graded, and you will be thanking us later. What'd you find, Andrea?
Oh, this is so. Oh, I had Naughty Noah. I swear I did. Or something that looked just like this. Do you guys
An
remember this
elephant
one?
with its nose tied.
Do you remember this one?
Trunk tied.
I swear I had one like this.
The ones that always stuck out to me were like the potty humor ones.
Yes.
Hale pulled
Yeah.
one out that was coming out of an outhouse.
Well,
like,
we do,
that's the
right?
stuff.
Good Night, June.
Yes.
There you go.
Perfect.
But this one really just made me laugh. Harry Haley. I mean, that's just. Why am I laughing at this?
Well, go find a fan and throw them up there.
I am. My sister's going to love this.
Perfect. Andrea, thanks again. You're the best.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
We're moving on.
You know what my favorite tradition at kickoff is, Joe?
I do not.
When they wheel out the Bojangles. And all of us, like the sickos we are, get up from whatever we do. We could be in the middle of the interview. But when the Bojangles gets brought out, people get up, they line up, and they want their bow. They had Bowberry biscuits earlier today. Usually I've gone the Supremes. The best, though, was, I forgot, there was a new sponsor who would come on, and they wheeled it out one time.
I think it was the Chick-fil-A hot
That's
sandwiches.
What it was. That's what it was. They brought out the Chick-fil-A. I think they had just introduced the spicy chicken sandwich, and people lost their freaking minds to go get some Chick-fil-A. You know how people get about Chick-fil-A sandwiches.
That was over in Greensboro.
Remember when they used to do ice cream socials?
Yeah.
They do them outside now. Actually, we missed the ice cream social yesterday.
Oh, we did?
Yeah, because they did it. They brought it like an ice cream truck out to the front of the Westin.
Oh, I didn't realize
So completely
that
missed
was.
out on that. I'm very upset about that. Very upset about that. But you know what? The fact that my stretchy jeans aren't doing a good enough job these days has nothing to do with the jeans and everything to do with me. So it's probably good that I skipped out on the ice cream social. Wait, I gotta get golf pants?
Yeah.
Are they
They're
like,
nice.
Are they like super stretchy?
They're
Is that what you rock all
They
the
got a
time?
lot of giving. They got a lot of give.
Oh.
to
You know,
the-
Lululemon has a pant. It's called like the ABC pant.
Yeah, but that's like
They're like $200.
Yeah.
But you know what the ABC stands for, right?
no.
Anti-ball crushing.
Oh,
That's what they're called. Apparently, they got enough room for your balls. So something to check out. I guess that for us, it's the equivalent of like Brownlow gets really excited about a dress with pockets.
mm-hmm.
For us, it's like, damn, these pants have rooms for my balls. Let's freaking go.
Move on.
Joining us at ACC Kickoff on the Heister Automotive Group Hotline is the quarterback, Duke football, Riley Leonard. Riley, what's going on, man?
How you guys doing? Thank you for having me.
No,
Absolutely.
No sneaking up on anybody this year, man.
No.
People know the deal with you now.
Yeah, it's completely different from last year. Obviously, last year ranked worst in the ACC. This year, now up there in the big time charts. So just trying to stay as humble as possible and stay down to earth because it is very easy to confine to the bright lights.
So what's the mindset with the team after 9 wins? And look, we've been doing this a long time. Joe and I are super old. We've seen all sorts of iterations of Duke football.
Yeah.
What kind of conversations do you guys have about what you want to make this program about?
Right. I think we have to keep our specialty. So that comes down to 2 things. Number 1 is hard work. I think we work harder than anybody in the country in the off season. And number 2 is FBI. It's football intelligence. Coach Elko talks about that a lot.
Okay.
He's the smartest coach I've ever been around. We're not the guys that are going to be the fastest, the strongest, the 4 or the 5 stars, but we do have our special competitive advantages that we need to play with, and that we did play with last year. So we can't lose that edge.
Have you stopped smiling from
No.
last year? Yeah.
100% not. How could I not smile? There's so many kids that wish that they were in my shoes right now. I'm gonna embrace it.
I want you to give us a little bit of inside information here, because I'm being serious right now. Last year when Devin Leary was at NC State, I said, "You watch, he's gonna get a deal in the portal. He's gonna leave, and no one should blame him." Sam Hartman, I said the same thing. Drake May, obviously with his family connections to North Carolina, I was like, I said the one you really need to look out for is Riley Leonard, because if I'm watching your tape and I'm in the SEC, I'm going, I want this guy. But obviously, you have a great connection with Coach Elko, and the success that you have with Coach Johns this year, that probably made it a little bit easier for you to stay there and realize what your potential is there.
Right, yeah, that's not in my character at all to move a school. I really didn't even think about it. Not one team hit me up twice. I didn't want anything
Didn't hit
to
you
do
up
with
twice.
Yeah, right. Well, if there was a team that hit me up,
I'm good.
if there was a team that hit me up, they got the message pretty quickly
Got it.
that I was gonna stay.
Got it.
Were they all in the SEC?
I don't remember.
Yes, you do.
And wait, I can't leave this education. I can't leave these guys that have like you go to war with them. You're every day you're building those relationships with your teammates for 2 years straight. I couldn't imagine leaving those. It's not my personality.
It also speaks to the quickness that Coach Elko has kind of had a culture effect for you guys in that program. Like, it would have been easy for you to say, you know what? We just saw this in baseball. Again, Devin Leary, Sam Hartman, these are all examples. These,
in the ACC. And guys come from the SEC.
And come the other way,
They come the other way, too. Although I'm curious, it's funny. You do this.
But I think people were sleeping on you. That's why I bring it up. Not to give you a hard time, but I think people were like, I kept saying, this guy's a baller. He can play.
You do this long enough, and maybe this is a byproduct of Joe having kids. I have kids, 15, 12. And it's almost like you don't give them enough credit. Like, they know the deal. They know how to navigate stuff. So for you got a lot of stuff coming your way, man. Like you said, they didn't come at me twice. I'm sure, are you on social media at all?
I am.
I mean, there's a reason why Home Field makes a shirt that says "Don't tweet at Croots," right? Because people get all up in your mentions, trying to come on, do whatever. But we're
He's
thinking
from Alabama,
so
Yeah.
So it's like we're sitting here in our mindset of how we go about things, going, man, there's just so much. But for you, how do you handle that?
Yeah, I think it's the people that are around me.
Yeah.
Coach Elko, Coach Johns, and my strength coach are never going to let me get a big head. I mean, these guys are some of my, some of the people that always keep me, extremely grounded. They'll say the things that nobody else wants to say. They'll tell me, hey, you can get better at this. You need to get stronger here. They're not afraid to say that stuff. So it's always good and reassuring to hear that. And then really just my faith. I became a Christian in high school, and I learned so many lessons. One of them being Jesus used to wash the feet of his disciples. And, that kind of reminded me, like, who am I to think that I'm somebody? Who am I to put myself on a pedestal?
Riley, you take me back to elementary school, man. All my Catholic schooling. It's all coming back to me right
sorry.
now.
I get kind of passionate about that.
No, it's all coming back.
It's the truth. I really do think about that. Whenever I walk into the locker room, I'm not better than anybody.
No, that's great,
I haven't proven anything yet. So
that's the mindset you got to have. That's the mindset you got to have. So when you walked over to the table, you're like, oh, this looks like a fun table here. What's up with these baseball cards?
That's right.
You don't. Were you a Pokemon kid?
So I wasn't a Pokemon collector. However, I
Okay.
do still play Pokemon Go. So
So y'all are still
I know
playing
we're
because there was
not-
the summer of Pokemon Go at one point where
Oh,
everybody was doing
100%.
it.
You got to stick with it.
You know
It's a
they
great
shut
game.
down. You know they shut down the Durham Bulls athletic park for Pokemon Go one time
Good for them.
because it was at the height of it, and a lot of people wanted to get on the field because that's where some
Yeah,
of the hot
right.
spots
Yeah,
were.
yeah, yeah.
So the Bulls shut it down. They're like, fine, you want to go on the field? We'll open it up for you. And there were a lot of people who
That's
showed
funny. I'm looking forward to fall camp because there's a gym in the hotel that we stay at. So me
So
and
if
some of
you
the guys
open
that
up-
play will battle.
up. So if you open up a Pokemon, do we have a card set?
We got
I'm not
Pokemon?
gonna know.
No,
I'm not
you
gonna
won't
You're not
know.
going to know any of the characters?
I mean, I
They're
may
on
know
Go?
a few, but this road always leads to me looking at the card and not knowing who it is.
Oh,
Okay.
I
So,
got
do you want to open an NFL pack or do you want to open up the Bowman Chrome from last year, which has some college players?
Oh,
in it?
let's do.
some of your
All right, we can do college,
compatriots.
You want to do some of your
Yeah, let's
colleagues?
see this
Let's
one.
do that. All right.
Yeah.
So while you're opening up that box, I was curious. I heard that your coach, Mike Elko, is a huge soccer guy.
That's right.
You're just getting into soccer? Are you at that classic case you played a video game, now you're into soccer?
Yeah, it's the classic case.
So how'd that
FIFA,
play out?
We have a tournament going out on at my house for the summer. Justin Pickett, my right guard, will end up taking me to Nana Steakhouse by the end of the summer. I am beating him by like 15 games right now, so I hope he hears this and sticks with it.
All right.
Because I'm not taking it lightly. I'm
giving
gonna
up.
get a prime rib and a bunch of fries.
All right, what do we got? What do we got in
All
the
right, so
card
we
set
got
here?
Jamar Gibbs from
Oh,
Alabama,
from
the home
It's
state.
Georgia Tech last year, yeah.
All right, Marvin Mims, not sure.
Okay.
So I'm not the
It's okay. Joe knows. Joe
Jaden
knows.
Wally, JJ McCarthy, a great quarterback.
Ooh.
Yeah.
What's that
He's in my
refractor?
class. And
The
then we
last
got Cade McNamara.
Where did he end up?
I'm not sure, but he is a great quarterback.
He transferred too.
Did he transfer?
Yeah.
Do you know where?
Oh, we got the
can't keep
Googles right in
track,
front
man.
of us.
That's what I
so.
appreciate you.
Yeah.
You didn't transfer.
Yeah,
So
that's what I'm saying, man.
Like you and Drake, like, oh, cool. Like
That's
we know
pretty cool,
we
though.
know the deal, or at least with Brennan Armstrong. we
Iowa.
saw
Cade
him at Virginia.
McNamara's at Iowa now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, good for him.
So, Riley Leonard, Duke quarterback. Hey man, we appreciate it. Thanks for hanging out with us. And take a Pokemon pack, man.
I will. I need
take one
to
with
study
you.
my guide.
Take one with you, so that way you know what you see on Pokemon Go next time. All right.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Take it
Thanks,
easy.
Riley.
We're moving on.
Jacob Monk, Duke football, joining us at ACC Kickoff. I feel like I love talking to guys like you who've been in the program for a long time, and you've seen the turnaround. Tail end of your previous coach with David Cutcliffe, now with Mike Elko. The year was a surprise to everybody last year, but was a surprise to you in how you all went around to get into 9 wins.
I won't say it was a surprise, but it definitely let us know that, all right, we can do this.
Yeah.
You know, we put the work in. That was very evident. I mean, we worked our tails off. So I hope we weren't going to work that hard and not win 9 games. But seeing it come to fruition was definitely a reward.
Yeah. Okay. So what do you think the biggest turnaround was for last year, and what's the continuation of this off season with things getting a little bit more difficult with the schedule?
Yeah. I think this off season was all about going even harder. The weight room, the track, all that stuff.
Did you think you had an extra gear left in you? Like, did you discover something?
No, I did not
You didn't
know.
know? All right.
But I found out that I did. So
You didn't what you're telling me is you didn't have a choice. You were going to find out one way or the other.
yeah, I was gonna find out. So we made it through it, and yeah, man, it's great. I feel like we really developed into a player-led team. The coaches don't have to ask us to do anything because we know what our standard is, and the players on this team are going to uphold that standard.
Going into last year, you didn't really know who your quarterback was going to be.
Yeah.
Coming into this year now, obviously you guys have a star in Riley Leonard. What kind of difference have you seen in Riley's temperament and demeanor since just this time last year?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy seeing him come in as the goofy kid playing behind my good friend Gunnar Holmberg to this dude now who's a team leader, you know, who has earned it in every respect to the sense. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, he's a great guy, great athlete, but you talk about upholding standards, Riley Leonard is that kid.
You guys didn't see Clemson last year. You'll see them now in the opener.
Yes, sir.
Is that a good thing this offseason to have that type of challenge to look forward to in the opener?
Yes, sir. I mean, it's you want to play the best, and Clemson is definitely the best. So we're really looking forward to it. That's what we've been working for to each and every day that we go in the facility.
So your coach, Mike Elko, saw the 1987 Topps baseball cards that are sitting right in front of you, and he geeked out. He was excited about that. Now, I mean, again, you're a younger guy.
He's a youth.
What baseball cards, football cards?
Does anything jump in there? We got Pokemon.
There's Pokemon
we got Garbage
cards. Did you play
Pail.
Pokemon back in the day?
I actually did not play Pokemon.
All right.
Yeah.
Would you like to open a Donruss pack from this year, an NFL pack?
I would.
You might find a Duke guy in there. I don't know. You never know what you're going to find out in there. So it is interesting though the generational differences with this stuff, because this is how we passed the time back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
How do you pass the time now?
Pass the time. I love to play video games.
Okay, what are you playing these days?
I actually play MLB.
All right.
Call of Duty.
I was gonna say I got my 15-year-old plays Rust, Call of Duty, Siege, all these things that he's doing all the time. So it's a good way to occupy the time. Now, what I'm curious about is, again, changes in how things have gone around, right?
Who's your team? Who's your NFL team?
The Ravens.
Ravens? Okay, let's see if we get one that you like.
As we pile up the cards.
Anybody standing out here?
Kyler Murray.
Okay.
Travis Etienne. Dexter Lawrence.
Oh.
From
you should know Big
Clemson.
Dex. Yeah.
But he's from Wake Forest, North Carolina.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Mike Gesicki, Antonio Gibson, Kyle Duggar, Robbie Anderson.
That bear.
Levante David. Deontay Johnson.
Oh, get rid of those Steelers. Where are the Ravens?
Yeah, no Ravens in the pack? Man, no Ravens in the
no
pack.
Ravens.
That's brutal.
Alex
see
Pierce, Cam Taylor-Bent. Yeah, that's
right.
it. No
Oh,
Ravens.
man.
So, again, I was thinking about the generational difference type things. Are you active on social media at all?
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
I try to stay away, but
I mean, everybody says that. You know, how many times I say, I gotta delete that app or whatever it is. What I was curious about is when do you see like the recruiting announcements now? Like, I'm committed to X. You know, I'm going to X school or whatever it is, right? Do you see any of that stuff on social media?
Every now and then I'll see it.
Are you a little jealous that you can get like the Photoshopification that you see now? Like a guy's like, I'm going to Duke, and like Duke's graphics department is off the charts, amazing. And there's you see the tower in the background. He's like sitting on a throne. There's a trident. You're thinking to yourself, where was that when I was coming up, man? Where'd that go?
I hate that stuff, man. I'm so glad that I didn't do that. Like, for my signing day picture, they had to pick an old picture from me because, like, on the official visit, I'm like, I'm not taking more pictures. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So I'm happy that they're doing all that, but that's just not for me.
Is that like a family? Because look, man, you come from a football family, right? So is just kind of like it's just another thing of football? This is the expectation of going here. Is that what it was?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I was not going to Duke for a quick second.
Okay.
I did not want to come here.
Why not? And look at you now, fifth year. I didn't want to go fifth year. Why didn't you want to come?
He's got his degree.
Yeah.
Long story. I just did not want to come here.
Where'd you want to go?
I don't want to say.
He's from Clayton.
Oh.
I don't want to say.
It's the other blue. It's all right. You could say it.
It's okay.
It's all good, man.
Again, man, family ties. I get it. Family ties, man.
But
Both ways.
Yes.
Happy that Duke ended up coming around.
Perfect.
There we go.
Hey, Jake, appreciate it, man.
Thank you.
Next topic, please.
So the next topic will be our last topic. We are going to wrap things up here with some Hey Joe. If you want to use that hashtag Hey Joe, by all means, use it on Twitter or whatever the hell Elon Musk is calling it these days. We'll also get into the YouTube mentions. Shout out to Oakwood Pizza Box. They sponsor Hey Joe. And what's been great about being out here at ACC Kickoff, you can tell the people who are listening to the podcast from out of town, right? And they're all like, hey, so what's that pizza place again?
Where's that pizza place? Downtown Person Street, right across from Krispy Kreme. Go check out AnthonyOakwoodPizzaBox.com. Order those pizzas online. Go pick them up. Go get yourself a Narragansett draft.
Oh, hell yes.
Oh, man. The coldest beer this side of Shady's and Garner.
Dude, I get the picture of Narragansett. If I don't go pizza wine, If I don't go pizza wine, I go the full pitcher of Narragansett. All right, let's get to Twitter from Bobby Ganoush. Hey, Joe, late questions, but wanted to know your thoughts on the next pod about MLS sharing streaming revenue with Messi. I'll hang up and listen. Oh, and one more question. Forgot to mention, longtime caller, first-time listener, very clever. Thoughts on USL voting for promotion relegation, the pressure it puts on MLS, and its use in other sports. Highly unlikely. Thanks. So I made a mistake today.
Did you spit into the wind?
No.
Did you pull on Superman's cape?
I made a mistake at breakfast this morning here in the Westin, sitting with Adam Gold, and Messi came up.
Oh, no.
I'll get to the streaming stuff in a second.
Oh, did you talk soccer with Gold?
I talked soccer.
Did you try?
Luke's sitting next to us here at the N&O table, and he's probably shaking his head like, did you really try to talk soccer with Gold? That's a mistake.
Not a good idea.
Look, anyway. So we got into this conversation. I just made like an offhanded comment. I'm like, it really says something about MLS that Messi is absolutely toying with these teams.
Yeah, 2 goals and an assist last night
wild.
For an otherwise not good Miami team.
No,
or at least not till he got there.
No, they were in last place last time I checked. Or my understanding was, I don't pretend to watch MLS.
They're at the bottom of the table, Joe.
Oh, I'm sorry. I have to use the right language. Regardless, I just made the comment that it really shows you the quality of MLS that Messi is doing this. And look, to Adam's credit, he made a good point about LeBron. Like LeBron, hey man, look what LeBron's doing. He's still one of the top players in the league. And I said, yes, that's true. However, what's the difference between the NBA and MLS?
MLS is AAA,
and the NBA at best, and the NBA is the top place where you play basketball. So anything that actually is more reason to believe that LeBron James is the greatest to do it, that he's doing it at this age and everything else. Messi. Look, relegation and promotion to me, there's this very dismissive attitude. Well, American sports never does it, and, it works for NFL, NBA, etc. But should it continue that way?
Well, in those other sports, though, those franchises are entrenched.
Yes.
There's no such thing in the MLS of like, oh, man, the Yankees or the Dodgers
It's also the ownership
Cowboys.
Structure. Jerry Jones wants to win a freaking Super Bowl. Yeah. Other owners want to go and win. In MLS, they own the league. Yes. They own the teams.
Single entity.
It's a single entity. Therefore, what is the true competition level that takes place? And that's where promotion and relegation comes in, because at the lower levels, like NCFC, imagine if NCFC could kind of turn themselves into a bit of a Wrexham story where, hey, here's this team that was looked over for MLS expansion. They invested, they won, and they promoted themselves up to a higher level. That, I think, would create more interest across the states because there's actual stakes. That's always been my argument. There are actual stakes. I don't know what the stakes truly are in MLS, and I don't see that happen. I don't see that changing. Now, Messi, yeah, man, he's the reason why the Apple subscriptions went up. So you better cut him a deal. Yeah. I think it's wholly unique to soccer. It's wholly unique to Messi. I don't see this happening in any other sport. And you also I saw the news blurb today where in the NFL, they banned the idea of giving equity to players like Aaron Rodgers, because that's a dangerous precedent to set. And I can see why other owners do not want that. So just something to keep in mind. But yeah, I mean, I had nobody but myself to blame, because last night I ended up talking about Tony D'Angelo with Gold while we're having beers. Yeah, that was a mistake too. That was a mistake. There's so much wasted energy on Tony D'Angelo for a guy who's, back-end defensive pairing. Anyway, from J-Rock, great discussion of sports economics with Sturgill for the bonus with Bomani Jones. How about the Saudi fund doing NIL for a college program? Is there anything to prevent that from happening? It's funny, we have the conversations with everybody here that are on the record, talking to coaches, talking to other media members. But when you're hanging out at the lunch table or you're at hospitality, you do kind of make these kind of like what if jokes about, hey, which ACC team would be the one that would absolutely go all in with like the public investment fund? It's Florida State. We all know this, right? They're so desperate for cash. It's not even close. Yeah. It's not even close. They're so thirsty for money that Florida State would absolutely be the team that goes for that. Don't you agree? And then they would get all the money, and then they'd still complain how they're broke.
Yeah, and how they don't. Yeah. Yep.
Any way to make it so that they have less excuse for their lack of success.
It's the league. It's not them.
It's not that. It's the league. Okay, sure.
Keeping them down.
All right, to the YouTube comments from yesterday's show. If Disney spins off ESPN, I would 100% expect an attempt at renegotiation? That's from Wes Varner. That's a question that I'm trying to get an answer to. And at some point, we're not scheduled to talk to Jim Phillips, ACC commissioner, this week. We're trying to set something up for just before the football season, a little bit over a month from now. But I don't even know if he knows the answer to that question. It's just, a lot of stuff is up in the air with these things.
As we found out with the grant of rights.
Yes.
You know, I mean, these documents, only certain people have seen these documents, particularly the updated version, because there was no FOIA slippage with the new version.
There was also some comments about expansion and things like that. You know, this is from Kenneth. Some combination of Notre Dame, UConn, West Virginia, and Cincinnati if Notre Dame doesn't accept. But here's the thing. That's fantasy talk. There's nothing that West Virginia, UConn, Cincinnati's adding to the ACC table. It's just another mouth to feed at this point.
Yeah.
And once you do that, it, I think, would really start the motion of more disintegration of the ACC. So there's really no reason to break any of that up. All right, we'll close on this. Our last HeyJoe question or comment, really. I'm trying to get more into the YouTube comments these days. This from Brandon. Enjoyed the interview with Alberto Riveron. I think people really enjoyed him ripping my accent, which I thought was great.
They did too.
My mom watched it. She's like, "Oh yeah, no.
That's the North Carolina and you.
So
gone soft.
So from Brandon, he's like, I thought it was one of the most honest and transparent interviews I've heard regarding officiating. I'd love to see a follow-up with him during the season. I would love to have that too.
Yep.
But then Gibson followed up with that saying, I know this guy was probably telling all caps some truth, but nah, there were some comments in there that were worth raising an eyebrow. Look, officials are going to look out for officials, man. I mean, that's but I do agree with their statement. 95% is really, really good.
I also agree that there have been people in that position previously that have been unwilling to maybe expose some of that process and answer for Brian Underwood being out of bounds.
Yes.
You know, to this day, the late Doug Rhodes, you know, like would say to me, he was out of bounds. I saw the thing. I saw it, and I'm like, all right, man, he got mad at me over it. And I'm like, well, that's not what the super zoom James Curl photo said that he, you know. But think about how much officiating has changed because of plays like that.
Yes.
Right? Like they basically don't blow a whistle now until like 5 minutes after the play. My mind was blown in the pandemic when I went to the Duke State game at Carter Finley Stadium, and there was 200 people there. And you sit there, the ball's dead. The play's over. And there is really this elongated pause before officials actually blow the whistle now, because that's part of their practice because of plays like that. Now, back in the day, the ACC would fight tooth and nail. Hey, no, it was right. It was this. They would never even respond.
Yeah.
So if he wants to come in and say, hey, here's what our explanation is, I'm all for that.
Yeah.
And I'm all for him trying to expedite some of those calls as well, as Dean Blandino did in the USFL.
Well, that's going to wrap it up for day 2, ACC Kickoff at the Westin in Charlotte. Thanks to everybody who dropped by. Thanks to everybody who's watched, subscribed, followed, given 5 stars. We appreciate all those things. And we'll see you for day 3 of ACC Kickoff on Thursday.